All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Blue Collar Sports Talk, November the 17th in the morning here at the bedroom studio. I've got Roger.
Hello.
And I've got James.
Oh, man, it's a cold one.
Oh, boy, it's lovely outside. We're going to kick right into some college football because we're edging ever so closer to the college football playoffs.
Yes.
And
the picture's not clear.
Not at all.
No, it is very murky right now.
Yeah, every week it gets muddier and muddier when somebody gets knocked off.
4 10-0 teams.
Oh, that's crazy.
Speaking of 10-0, number 4 TCU is on the road at Baylor. 6-4 Baylor, 10-0 TCU. TCU favored by 2.5 on the road, and overs are set at 57.5. TCU may not have covered every single game, but they've won every game.
And they've mostly come from behind.
Yeah.
Except the Texas game last week, what we all discussed, going into that game, how, Texas playing well, but that non-Big 12 Texas or TCU defense showed up. I mean, wow.
Well, and Texas has had some weird lopsided wins and some weird lopsided losses.
Right.
So it's an interesting season. I see TCU getting this done. I'm going to take TCU. And 2.5, I think, is an easy cover for them.
Yeah, I like TCU. I don't think Baylor's playing real good right now. First half of the year, we would have probably took Baylor, but Baylor just hasn't been playing very well. I mean, they can come up. They could come up and probably make it a game. I mean, I see it being a pretty close game, but I'll take TCU in the 3 points also.
The number I find interesting in this, and I don't pay close attention like you guys do, you do it way more than me, is the 58 over and under. These two teams are averaging 30 plus each, TCU closer to the 40 side. And I'm guessing we're going to talk weather, but it's down south. I know it's a little cold down there, but I don't remember any rain in the forecast or whatever. But you have both these guys going, I'm looking at it right now, 40 and 34 a game. Defensively, they give up 25 a game. For the over-under 58, that kind of surprised me with both teams scoring, like I said, 30 pretty much every game except for that Texas-TCU game. But again, yes, TCU 2.5 I think is fairly easy. They see the writing on the wall, and the critics are all saying they don't deserve to be in the top 4. And I'm like, they beat 3 ranked teams where they were ranked at the time they beat them: K-State, Oklahoma State, and I believe Kansas. Texas wasn't ranked. So, yeah, to me, TCU does have a schedule that lets them be in the top 4 ahead of these one-loss teams.
The question mark for me is Oklahoma State. And we have that on our list of games to talk about. Oklahoma State, that's another team that doesn't know who they are from week to week.
Oh, my goodness.
TCU beat them in double overtime. But again, as long as TCU keeps winning.
They should, you're winning, you're in, right?
I
they
think
should
so.
be winning, you're in.
So are you on TCU?
Oh, yeah, 100. Yeah, I'm TCU all the way to the end. I've been picking them early.
I think they get that 57.5. Like you say, if you look at the numbers, both of them identical points allowed, 25.5.
Right.
But I think TCU can put up points. Now, conversely, last week, they didn't even come close to the overs against Texas.
No.
So.
No. And I like the unders again. I think the Big 12, especially teams like TCU, I think they'll play good defense. And I don't know. I like the unders. I do. And next week when TCU plays Iowa State, I'll like the unders again. Yeah. Iowa State's defense is pretty legit.
I would have taken the overs last week, and then they would have put egg on my face. But I'm going to take the overs on this one because I don't know.
Yeah. But the Big 12 has definitely played better defense this season than we have seen in seasons past. Like I said, Iowa State's playing really good defense. K-State put a shutout on Oklahoma State for crying out loud.
Well, yeah. K-State only allowed Baylor 3 points last week.
Right.
But that goes back to you guys saying Oklahoma State, they are so inconsistent.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Oklahoma State. 7-3, 6:30 game on ABC at OU. OU's favored by 7.5. Overs are set at 64.5.
See, now that makes more sense to me. 30 points each, that makes more sense. And, I know we were just talking about the defense, but again, if Oklahoma State gets to 24, 30 points, they're going to win this game. But does OU play the defense, giving up, 30 a game? If they let Oklahoma State score 30, 25, 30, they're going to lose. Yeah. I don't think OU wins a shootout with Oklahoma State.
with Gabriel coming back for OU, somehow that just injected so much enthusiasm into the rest of the team, and it's really changed their season.
Yeah,
but
I don't see either defense stepping up in this game. I like the overs on this, and I'll take Oklahoma State. You said spread 7.5.
Yeah, 7.5. So you're taking Okie State?
Yeah,
Okie State and overs.
Yeah, I'm just taking Oklahoma State. Oklahoma's lost to Baylor, West Virginia the last 2 weeks. I know you're talking about this injection of enthusiasm, but they gave up 38 points to Baylor and lost 23-20
to West Virginia.
Right.
Yeah.
So West Virginia's on the road, but still you're OU. You got your quarterback. You're doing your thing. Yeah, I too like Oklahoma State. I mean, points, no points. I don't care. It's Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, right? It should be.
You like Oklahoma State to win?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I go back and forth. I mean, I have to pick one. They somehow eked out a win at home against Iowa State.
Right. Who has really good D, but they put up 20.
I'm gonna stick with OU at home. Something tells me that OU is due after 2 losses at home. They just came off the road from West Virginia, who I think is a tough Big 12 team.
Right.
And so I'm going to take OU and unders.
OU's going to play Big Brother still and say, no, we still own this state.
Well, for all I know, Roger's dead on, because the overs in Okie State is a good look, because OU is on a 2-loss streak right now.
Right.
So can the coaches turn it around?
I said if they give up 24, they'll lose.
And again, OU's coach, first year. His is his first year as a head coach.
Defensive coach.
He was a defensive coach, but can he get it? Can he get his team to focus on the next game and forget about the last games? Do either of you guys watch Ted Lasso? It's on Apple TV. He tells his players to have the memory of a goldfish, to just forget the last loss. So I don't know if any of the players on that team have a memory of a goldfish or not, and whether or not they believe they can do it, because they did. They lost 2 that they should have won at Baylor.
Is that a rugby show, a football show? What is it?
It's kind of a soccer show. So what happens is Jason Sudeikis plays a football coach, an American college football coach that took a Wichita State Shockers football team to the promised land, and then he accepts a job over in UK, British land, Britain. Gosh, I can't think. But he's given this job because the owner got a divorce from their husband, and she wants the team to lose. So she thinks, well, the best way to make them lose is bring in an American football coach that doesn't know anything about soccer. But it's a great show about believing in what you can do. It's a great feel-good show. And I'm sorry I'm plugging a show right now, but it's amazing when it's an amazing show about growth and believing in what you can do. And Jason Sudeikis as a coach teaches that to all of his players. So the other thing is have a memory of a goldfish.
Right.
I'm hoping OU hasn't. That's why I took OU. So moving on to, I don't know. We just
did this fake off of a Lasso show quote of a. That's what they say about cornerbacks. You forget that last pass you just gave up, or the 40-yard touchdown you gave. You got to go do it back and do it again, and you're making a pick for OU to win.
No, it just came up my mind. It came into my mind. I'm making a pick based on their due. After 2 losses, one at home, one on the road, they're due.
Yeah.
Then they may not be. Roger
and against Oklahoma State, I'll take them to win, but I think Oklahoma State covers.
Green Bay lost 5 in a row before they were due.
Yeah. Great point. Think about that. Think about who they did it, because he knew that coach inside and out.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move on.
Right. Yeah. Different subject. Here we go.
Illinois on the road at number 3, Michigan. Michigan favored by 18. This is an 11 o'clock game. Illinois up and down, mostly up and then down a couple games.
Yeah, I was going to say down lately.
Down. Very, yeah.
I'm telling you, the Nebraska curse is for real. Once you beat us, it doesn't look good for you after that. So this is interesting. Michigan just beat us. If Illinois wins this game, I'm going to patent that.
It pains me to say this. You don't have to be that good to beat us.
No, you don't.
No,
What
no.
happens to you the next game that these teams are losing? And one of the stats I had seen was it wasn't even pretty.
But
So
I'm going to put Purdue and Illinois in roughly the same category because Purdue beat us and Purdue beat Illinois. So is Illinois and Purdue roughly the same? Because then they also lost to Michigan State.
So before the Minnesota game, Northwestern 0-8 after beating Nebraska. Georgia Southern 3-4. OU 2-4. Purdue 0-2. And Illinois had lost the very next game after beating us. And then now Minnesota, I believe, lost last week, right?
So that means that Michigan's going to lose to Illinois at home.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. If Michigan loses to Illinois after they beat us,
Are you taking Michigan?
no one's going to want to play us.
Are you taking Michigan?
I'm totally taking Michigan.
Okay,
with this
good. That's actually good because they
By the points,
Oh, no, I don't
18.
care.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah, I don't
Illinois'
know.
defense is still pretty good. I mean, they just ain't scoring. I mean, they just ain't winning.
have any money on it, so no, I'm just taking Michigan to win.
Okay.
Okay.
You're taking Michigan to win.
Yeah,
Roger,
I believe in their defense.
All right.
Yeah, I believe so too. I don't think Illinois scores enough points to hold it within 18. I like Michigan winning like 28-3, 28-7, something like that.
by the points, I'm gonna take Illinois to cover.
But you're still, but Michigan to win, right?
But of course, I'll take the unders all day long. I don't care. I don't care if it's 35.
Overs are set at 43.
Yeah, yep.
Well, which is good because points allowed per game 12.5 for Illinois, 11.2 for Michigan, and that has unders written all over it in my mind. So I picked Illinois just to cover. I'm not saying they're going to win, but if they do, hallelujah. And Roger's taking Michigan and unders. Number 2, Ohio State on the road at Maryland. Maryland 6-4. This is a 2:30 game on ABC. Ohio State 10-0, favored by 27.5.
Right. And if I would do points, this one I would take Maryland on the points. I think this could be a very good game for Maryland. Obviously, it's a cliche thing. If they can keep it close, anything can happen in the end. Right. But I think Maryland can keep this game close and give themselves a chance.
Weather could be a factor.
Right.
The East Coast has been getting some weather here as of late. So I'm going to put that down. Maryland points, James. Roger, Ohio State, 27.5 on the road.
That's a lot of points, but Ohio State wins this game. I'll take Ohio State to cover.
Yeah.
I didn't believe they would cover last week the 40 or 35.
Yeah, last week was 56-14.
40. Yeah, they won by 42.
Yeah, and I think it was like 38, 39
Yeah,
points,
the point spread was 40.
Yeah.
That's why. And I bet on that game. I bet Indiana.
Oh.
And I lost. And Ohio State covered. So
Yeah.
I'll
State's a covering machine
yeah,
this year.
I'll say the same. I'll say they cover. Maybe CJ Stroud tries to, put a stamp on that Heisman Trophy.
Well, I was going to say, right now, isn't he top 3, if not?
I'm sure he's a top guy. I don't even know who else.
He's having an amazing season.
Yeah.
College season, anyway.
Yeah.
Maryland really can't stop anybody. They lost to Wisconsin. They beat Northwestern and Indiana, lost to Purdue, and they allowed Purdue 31. Even in a win over Indiana, they allowed them 33 points. A win over Northwestern, they allowed them 24.
You have an over-under number on this game?
Yeah, the over-under on Ohio State is 65. I know, that's high. But
yeah, I can't take the overs on that.
I'm right there with you. If you want to take the overs, I'd buy them down. But I got to say unders on that one. Ohio State and unders. Somehow Ohio State covers. James, I made a note that you're taking Maryland by points, but you still think Ohio State wins.
Yeah, I think Ohio State wins. I'd love to see the upset. I really think it's going to be there. I don't see them making the points. Mainly, like I said, home game. They get up for it. It's Ohio State. It's not one of those where they're like, it's just Northwestern. It's just, I know that Penn State shut them out 30-0, but that was on the road. I think the home field and the weather, maybe they can shock the world here.
On to number 1 Georgia, also 10-0 on the road to Kentucky. That's a 2:30 CBS game. 22.5, Georgia. Overs 49.5. Georgia really hasn't covered. I mentioned this last week, but they win. They keep winning, but they don't necessarily
matters, right?
always cover. Yeah, and I said that about TCU. So I'm gonna say Georgia, but not by points, because 22.5 is crazy.
Georgia is giving up a whopping 11 points a game.
And Kentucky's 20 points a game they give up.
So, I mean, if you just go back 20-10, I think Georgia scores more than that. But their defense, and we said it before, when the first rankings came out, they picked the two teams scoring the points with Tennessee and Ohio State. Now Georgia's number one. They played Tennessee and showed that defense makes a difference. Yeah, to me, again, points, no points. It's Georgia and that defense, and they're going to keep going. Obviously, they have a really good offense, scoring 40 points a game.
Yeah, they scored 45 against Mississippi State. They only scored 27 against Tennessee. Scored 42 against Florida, 55 against Vanderbilt, 42 against
right. So maybe
Auburn.
Some of these point spreads they're not covering are just a little outrageous.
I'm going to take Georgia to win, but I there's a chance Kentucky covers.
No, I think they cover.
You think Georgia's going to cover?
I think it'll be a low-scoring game.
Oh.
20, 23, 27. I think it'll be real low-scoring.
So you think Georgia wins, but Kentucky covers?
Yep.
Okay. James?
I'm taking Georgia all day. That defense is too good.
So you're taking Georgia, and you're taking points. So we'd also texted earlier in the week, or James texted me, or maybe it was Roger. What are the chances of USC getting into the college playoffs? So we added 9-1 USC, 2.5-point favorite at UCLA. That's a 7 p.m. Fox game on Saturday. What do you guys think about that one?
USC, they play, well, of course, UCLA this weekend. Then they play Notre Dame, last game of the year. And I wasn't even aware of this, but there are not divisions in the Pac-12 this year. It's just a 12-team conference.
Yeah.
So they take the top two teams. So it looks like they're probably either going to play Utah again, which is their only loss.
Only loss. 1 point loss.
Or Oregon. Yeah. And they have not played Oregon yet this year. So looking at that 3-game stretch, if they can run that table, I don't know how you keep them out. Well, I mean, obviously, will the loser between Michigan and Ohio State, will that loss look better than USC's loss to keep, Michigan up there ahead of USC or Ohio State, whichever it is?
To me, yes, because of the level of the competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Pac-12 has no love from the football world, football fans.
Yes.
They're looked at the weakest because, and I 100% agree with you, say Michigan beats Ohio State, they drop down. Alabama, and I'll talk about it later, has a chance to still get in this darn thing. And I would think a 2-loss Alabama team, they still put ahead of a 1-loss USC, which I think is ridiculous. But the Pac-12 just doesn't get any love from the football world.
Okay, how about this? The overs
even
are set
with no
at 70.
championship game from Alabama?
Yeah.
Yep.
Overs are set at 75 on this game. And the one thing that I looked at, both of them have played Arizona. UCLA lost to Arizona. USC beat Arizona. USC beat them 45-37. UCLA lost to Arizona last week, 34-28.
Yep.
Yeah. 75.
I know. So I'm going USC to cover the 2.5, but unders.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I think this is the time of year where the defenses have to step up. I kind of like the unders in almost every game, so I'm going to stick with that.
I agree. I think USC wins out. I won't say the playoff game or the Pac-12 championship, but right now they should win the next 2 games. But the bad thing is it'd be nice if they controlled their own destiny, but it doesn't look like they do. They just have to win and just hope they can make an argument. Controlling
their own destiny is something that the University of Nebraska volleyball team kind of let slip out of their hands against their last opponent, Ohio State. They got swept. No, wait, it was 4-1. It was 4-1.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
They won the third set.
Yeah. And all of the sets were within a couple of points. They took one.
Except the fourth set.
The fourth one was bad.
Jeez, that was
lopsided. But Ohio State did the same thing to us when they came to Lincoln. So we flip-flopped. We won at home, and then we lost on the road. Their next one is at Iowa on Friday. That's a 6 p.m. match. BTN Plus to cover that. Or listen to 107.3, or in the description, look for the huskers.com link, and they also will give you a live audio feed. Sunday, we're at home, and that's a BTN match, noon. They're going to be up against the NFL schedule. But Purdue, we got to win Purdue, and we got to win Iowa to get a halfway decent seed for the upcoming NCAA tournament, I hope. But also...
And their losses have been weird. I mean, they've always had a serving issue all year. Their serving errors have not improved. And to me, it's almost like penalties in a football game, right? Your false starts or your holding calls, lining up in the neutral zone. Those are controllable. A serve, it should be somewhat controllable, where I'm sure Cook's like, hey, we just got to get the ball to the other side. We play great defense. We pass the ball well. Let's give us a chance.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying the girls are doing it on purpose, whatever, but that's something I think if they can get a handle on, I mean.
I would love for them to get a handle on that. Lexia Rodriguez to start matches, serves into the net a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And you pick your best server to start the game, get you going on a roll. And when you do that, you're like, now we're rotating. What the we're rotating.
Yeah. Maybe sit her down. Maybe have her think about it and bring Maisie Boziger in or Kennedy Orr. I was so glad that they brought Kennedy Orr in.
Right.
And I understand that she's still dealing with some rehab issues from her leg, but
how many ace serves are there really in a volleyball match?
Oh, there could be a lot. Nebraska's finished a few games at 6 or 7.
Okay.
But an ace is them, if it's a bad pass, they get it and it shanks off their arm, they count that as an ace.
I was just going to say, if you're only getting 1 or 2 ace serves by the time the match is over, I mean, why worry about trying to get that great serve? Just get it over.
And if it's up by a 5-point lead, I get it, go for it.
Yes and no, but you're also looking for the weakest link. You're trying to serve it to the weakest link on the other team to set up your defense in a favorable way. And Coach Cook illustrated this against. I shouldn't say against. They did a segment and they showed this during the Ohio State where he said, this is what I'm doing when I'm giving them direction before they serve it on who to go for.
Every time.
Yes.
And I understand what you're trying to say.
But just get it to her. Why does it have to be 100 miles an hour?
That's what
And it doesn't have to be 100 miles an hour. And Lexi always hits it just 2 inches low, below the tape, and she's just trying to get it and I don't know, pre-jitter or pre-match jitters.
And like I said, Cook just wants, he's not asking for you to ace this person.
Yeah.
He's like, I want you to serve it to A.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what they aim for and put it over there. And the other weak thing I think on the team is on some of these close games is their passing. And not just on the hit, I'm talking about on the serve where you know it's coming, you're lined up, you're ready to go. And our setters having to scramble or trying to get it all the way up closer to the net because a pass started the playoffs so bad.
And the funny thing is our losses were to amazing teams. Ohio State, amazing team. Stanford, amazing team. Wisconsin, arguably, in my mind, possibly tied for number 1.
Ooh.
I know Texas, I think, is back to number 1.
The only problem I have with the losses, sweep. Wisconsin and Stanford both beat Nebraska 3-0. Nebraska were in the games. It's not like they were blown out every game. But they were swept. You couldn't even take a game from these teams that you know you're going to see in the tournament, if not the championship, if they're not in the same bracket, right?
Wisconsin's defense is amazing.
Yeah, but you have to find a way.
You do.
You play them every year.
I feel that Ohio State might have watched that Wisconsin match to figure out just to get them that much better to get it done.
Ohio State's nationally ranked, right?
Oh, yeah.
They were 6 when we played them, and we were number 4.
Right, yeah.
And I haven't looked to see if new rankings have come out yet.
I didn't either. But again, though, they lost the first 2 sets. And Nebraska, notoriously, when they lose that first set, you might as well just get your popcorn and go home.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a fight back, and it drives me nuts.
I disagree. Keep keep yourself in the seats. keep giving them your keep giving them your
right.
your support.
I'll keep cheering and yelling, and eventually.
Yeah. But I know what you mean.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating. You know, the football team gets down by 7. You're like, well,
yeah,
no chance we're gonna have a stop and a score.
Yeah,
so.
it's cold. There's a burger stand right over there. Let's get out of here.
You know.
Yeah.
So if you like disappointment, the 11 o'clock kickoff against Wisconsin is also going to be on ESPN. So if you prefer to sit on the sofa and watch it, that's fine.
And the talk is Casey Thompson's back. He's going to play, but only because I think he has to. Purdy is hurt. He cannot play. He's not even suiting up.
He was in a boot.
Yeah, Struthers is struggling. He has an injury. They're talking about the 4th-string guy might be the guy, but now amazingly Casey's making a miraculous comeback. So Casey might not even be 100% for this game, but I will have to say, after watching the last 2 games, well, I have my own opinion on that Minnesota game, but after watching the games, Casey is our best chance to win against Wisconsin and Iowa.
Casey is our best chance, but our defense has to get some better stops. And
Casey it's amazing how much better he is than the other two.
And I don't know how long we want this segment, but that is my problem since the Frost era, and it continued to this. Suppose we got this new staff. We brought in, obviously Mickey and Whipple and all that. But from when Adrian was here, the drop between the number 1 and number 2 is huge. Then we get into this year, we had 2 transfers, a Florida State guy and a Texas guy. Oh my gosh, they're battling. Oh, it's 1 and 2, and they're neck and neck, and they're taking all the snaps. And then we see Purdy come in, and we're like, dude, did you even play? I mean, he had pretty good games at Florida State, but he looks absolutely lost out there.
During the broadcast of last week's game, they said Mickey Joseph decided to have the number 1 offense and the number 1 defense scrimmage. Previously, he was doing the 1s against the 2s, the number 1 offense against the number 2 defense.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the number 1 defense against the number 2 offense. So in my mind, that really helped the number 2s. That helped the number 2s and the number 3s way more than it helped the number 1s.
So then where is Purdy at? If he's been practicing against the number 1s this whole time as a number 2 quarterback, and Casey's practicing against the number 2s, why isn't Purdy better?
My guess is he was getting better until he got hurt. And then, this is my guess, his brother said, stay hurt, man. The rest of your team stinks. And you're a really good quarterback.
He came into the Minnesota game as the number 1 guy. The game before that, he was a little rusty. He was a little injured. When he filled in for Thompson, he looked like crap. Suppose he filled in all the practices, was ready for this Minnesota game. If you want to establish yourself, say, hey, you know what, Nebraska, I can be your guy. I can take over this team from this game on. First 2 drives look decent. 10-0 right away, Minnesota. You're like, okay, all right, we're doing some things. And then you don't even complete a pass beyond the line of scrimmage. You got 1 first down through 2nd and 3rd quarters. Seriously. I mean, I'm like, dude, you have no excuse. I mean, if you get benched at 3rd string, to me, Struthers should have been in when he came that 1 third and 3rd quarter, should have finished the game.
I don't know what the answer is. This team has dealt with so much change in the last 24 months just think about this. Every single year, almost every single year, there was a new offensive coordinator of some sort or a new coordinator because Scott kept his main 3 that he brought from University of Central Florida, but new people came in. And now this last year, we had a new athletic director come in. Moose got fired. Trev Alberts comes in, and I'm guessing gives Scott the ultimatum:
make some changes, yeah.
Get some new coaches, or you're gone right now.
Yep.
So then they went out and got Whipple, and they went out and got Mickey Thompson, and Bush was
Mickey Joseph.
Yeah, Mickey Joseph.
Right.
Yep.
And then they got Bush, who was a kind of a coordinator, and now he's the full-fledged defense.
Made a huge difference. It's night and day, the defense, when he's taken over from the other guy.
Yeah.
But also all that change. I mean, they've kind of got to wonder what's going on a little bit. Yeah. And there's no consistency, I guess is what I'm getting at.
And it won't get better because you're about to have a new head coach between now and the end of the season. They're going to announce. And nothing against Mickey Joseph. He's done a really decent job and the best he could with all these changes and all the hiccups. But he hasn't won the games to say, yeah, I have faith in you turning this program around. So I don't think Mickey gets it. I hope he stays around, 100% hope he stays around.
Yeah, he says he wasn't even interviewed for the job.
Right.
So,
and I said if he would have won,
he hasn't been interviewed,
games,
but I think his interview is how he's coaching right now.
That's what I totally agree. That's what I said. His interview is this season,
but
and he hasn't won the game.
That's got to be messing with his head a little bit. Don't.
But if you're interviewing, you want to go with your best shot.
Yeah.
You got to go in, and so I don't know if it's because Purdy's Whipple's guy. Hey, Whipple, your guy's looking like ass out there. You're going to have to replace him.
Well, Whipple's not here next year.
No, I know, but I
don't think Whipple's here next year. I don't think Mickey Joseph's here next year.
I think Mickey is if a defensive-minded guy comes in, only if Mickey. Now, Mickey has some talk from the other schools that want him. So if he doesn't accept another head coaching job, if a defensive-minded guy comes in, I could see them working together and keeping the offense trying to stay not too changed.
All the hard work I hear Mickey Joseph putting in, and he stays in touch with his brother, Joseph, the NFL coach, assistant coach. I don't see Mickey staying here because I don't see. I mean, I know he wants to. I just don't see it happening, and he could. He totally could. But we're going to move on. We're going to touch briefly on. I'm going to leave a link in the description for Nebraska players in the NFL, how they did, and also a link for former Husker Delano Banton is playing for the Raptors, and he's been having a couple of career nights. So just briefly, we're going to look at some NBA games. Friday, the Bucks play the 76ers. That's on ESPN. And Saturday, the Raptors play Rogers Hawks. And I wanted to bring that up because Delano Banton has had a couple of career nights. He's scored double figures. Also on Sunday, the Nuggets play the Mavs. And the Mavs, Luka Doncic has been playing. He didn't play last night. They lost, but he rested because he played 40 minutes the previous night. Yep. But he was on a tear. 30-point nights, 40-point nights, and he had 9 straight 30-point nights before they had a loss, and they held him to 23, but that's still an amazing stat line. He's ranked 10th in NBA history with 49 triple-doubles. So I know it's too early to talk about NBA MVPs, but there's a lot of great players. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander put up amazing numbers against the Celtics, put up amazing numbers last night. Yeah. My only thing with Luka is his injuries. I never put him up there in the top MVP, although he plays well when he's in, but when his team needs him night in and night out, it's, I'm not there, I'm hurt. The previous year, I think all those injuries were he didn't play with his national team, and you could see that he got soft and didn't run and was chunkier than he normally is. And during the offseason, he played for his national team, and you can tell he's in shape. He's in his rhythm. So just a few games to watch for the NBA. And that's going to lead us into – go ahead. Another one I like coming up, the Knicks won for the first time in Denver since 2006 last night, which was amazing for them. They're not having a great season, but it looks like they're finding a little bit. They have the Warriors tomorrow. They're on a West Coast road trip, right? So they got the Knicks at Golden State, who all of a sudden have no mojo. Curry put up 50 and they lost. Yeah. So it's not a Steph Curry shooting thing. He can carry what they can. Anyway, I'd like to see if the Knicks can go into Golden State and win that game, and maybe wake up Golden State Warriors.
Golden State, would they even have a win if it wasn't for Steph Curry this year?
No, I don't know.
Potentially, yeah, because Poole had a huge night.
Yeah. I don't know, but all I know is Klay Thompson hasn't been doing well. Draymond Green hasn't been well. James Wiseman got sent down to the G League.
Well, that's what I was going to say. There are 3 young guys: Wiseman, Kuminga, and then good. There's one other one.
Jordan Poole.
Not Poole, because he's still doing his thing. But these other 3 who they thought were going to be coming up are not doing good at, like you said, not good. Their minutes are going down. Kuminga went from 9-10 points a game. He's down to like 5. So these young guys that are supposed to be putting this energy and helping them out, I don't know what Kerr's rotation is.
Wiggins, Looney?
No.
Green, Lamb, DiVincenzo, Poole, Moody, and Kuminga.
Moody's the other one.
Yeah.
Moody, Wiseman, and Kuminga, they were talking about should be the energy, these second, third-year guys that were supposed to be coming off the bench and playing.
Kuminga didn't play last night because he was hurt. Moody went 6 minutes and went scoreless.
Yeah.
Poole had 27 minutes and only had 2 points.
So, but like we know, just like we say about the Lakers, when those guys need a rest and they go sit down, you can't bring in the twos and go scoreless. Those guys got to come off the bench, provide a little energy. If anything, match score for score. Just keep it the same as we left. But when you get outscored 12-0, 10-0, 10-2, you know, yeah. So again,
their bench is horrible.
Right. And Kerr, I think, is doing doing the best job he can. It'd just be interesting to see if the Knicks wake up Golden State or Golden State wakes up the Knicks and they go on to win a few and start making it interesting over there in the East.
Golden State hasn't won a single game on the road this year. So it'll be interesting. Like you say, is Kerr able to turn it around? It'll be interesting to find out. So,
and and like you said, Roger, it's not Curry, but your Thompsons, Looney's need to start playing some ball. Even Green, you can be the glue all you want, but you need to start playing some ball.
Well, I just noticed that the Golden State Warriors, I mean, the points are high this year. I mean, it just seems like every score you look at, it's 130, 120. And Curry's stat line's always great. And they're losing. Or, I mean, of course, if they win, you're just like, well, hell, if it wasn't for Curry's 40 points, they would have lost this game.
Yeah.
You know, so.
But the 50 points they put up against a very good Phoenix Suns team.
Right.
At home. And I think Phoenix is an amazing team.
Phoenix hit like 19 threes, right? It was a club record or something. I mean, they hit threes like crazy. So.
Yeah.
Briefly, we're going to talk about NCAA men's basketball. We had an upset last night. Number 11 Texas beat number 2 Gonzaga 93-74.
Right, and that was, to me, when I was looking at it, I didn't get to watch it. I wish I could have. Turnovers, 20 turnovers by Gonzaga. And in the Michigan State game, they had double-digit turnovers. So might be something that obviously they need to look at coming. They got a day or two off before they play Kentucky. That's where they need to fix. Shooting, they're doing decent, and the rebounding was dead even. The free throws, they even shot more free throws in Texas. That 20 turnovers at 10.
And it's early in the season, because I remember last season a lot of the number 1s and number 2s kept some losses. So if they lose early, but you're right, they better figure it out, because on Sunday, number 4 Kentucky comes into number 2 Gonzaga. I don't see them staying number 2. I haven't looked at rankings yet.
Yeah.
Friday, James had texted me. There's a couple of big games. Number 16 Virginia at number 5 Baylor. This is actually played in Las Vegas, so this is
right. These are the different tournaments and invites that they have going on.
Right. So even though Baylor is the home team, it's I wanted to mention that it's an offsite. It's at Vegas, and so is the number 19 Illinois against number 8 UCLA. That's at a Las Vegas tournament.
Yeah.
So,
one game, I don't know if you guys got to watch, and if you didn't, you're lucky. Those of you that watched the Kansas Duke game, I apologize. That looked like an ugly Thursday night football game. They made 6 total threes between the two teams. Kansas shot 15%, Duke 14% from the three-point line.
Was that good
horrible
defense, or was
no,
it just they weren't?
Yeah, these are wide open. I watched, I say 3/4 of the game. Yes, I was at work, but we make it work, right?
Duke, new coach.
Yes, but this was, I mean, like I said, both sides. And it was neutral court. They were on the road invitational thing.
And Kansas is doing their self-imposed sitting
self. Yeah.
So.
And the game before them went long. It was the Michigan State beating Kentucky. So they went to double overtime.
That was a great game.
Right.
How
and
did Michigan State not get rated?
Oh, man. Yeah. You know,
they're getting votes.
Yeah. But they showed Duke and Kansas standing in the little walkway, because they were supposed to come out and warm up at the end of the game. Those guys wanted to watch the game, which I get, but they stood there. So maybe, and I'll make excuses because I'm a big fan of both teams. They have great players. They stood there. They didn't go back in and sit down and warm up or stretch out. Then they came out, got their half hour, and started the game. It was ugly. They shot 35% for Duke. Kansas shot 46%. That was the difference in the game, as neither team even made it to 70. You know, the turnovers weren't bad, but it was just some ugly, I'm talking wide open, nice ball movement, just very ugly basketball for a Kansas Duke game where you would see a 75-80, 85-80 game. It was bad.
If you watch Husker basketball, you understand what ugly basketball means.
Oh, man.
And I hate to say that because Fred Hoiberger is supposed to be a great hire, but we're still kind of middle of the road. We play St. John's.
And surprisingly, we're an underdog.
We play St. John's, but we're on the road. And that's 5:30 at, it's going to be picked up by Fox Sports 1, FS1. But we are 9.5, 10-point underdogs. We'll see if they can get it done. Yeah, we'll see if that can happen.
9 new faces on the team.
Yeah.
9.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We're going to switch gears completely, and we're going to look at the NFL.
NFL. Oh, yes. I mean, what a last... I know we don't really... Like I said, we really don't cover the previous week games, but Bills lose at home to Minnesota. Dallas loses a gimme game to Green Bay. Jeff Saturday wins his first head coaching gig with 0 head coaching gig experience with the Colts, who, essentially wasn't going to win many games.
Yeah, undefeated Philadelphia goes down.
Right. And then, Washington to close out the week to go ahead and put a stamp. Was that the Monday night game? No, that was Sunday night game. Sorry. Washington. No, that was a Monday night game, right? Wasn't it? Washington Eagles? No one. Anyway, they put a stamp on it by beating the Eagles, obviously at home, but the undefeated Eagles by the way, running the ball. They ran the ball 49 times. They ran the ball against the Eagles. It was amazing.
40 minutes to 20 minutes time of possession.
Yes.
Huge. Yeah.
Yes.
And it was Monday night's game.
And that run average was only 3.1.
So Ron Rivera was a genius, and he looked at, hey, how can we win? And he did exactly what Roger said. We need to keep the ball out of Tua's hands.
Yeah. But when you do that, or Jalen Hurts,
Jalen Hurts.
You still have to get first down. So a 3.1 yard average, granted, if you do that on third down, it's going to be fourth and short, because you're going to get about 9 yards. But he was getting just enough out of his passing game and just enough yardage when it counted that they were converting these first downs. And like you said, keeping the Eagles on the sideline.
Well, and Taylor Heineke did exactly what Cooper Rush did for the Cowboys. He is managing the game. He's not turning the ball over, and he's doing a great job. The Commanders are looking good.
The NFC East, wow. I mean, they're beating up on each other because they have to, but they're definitely making a notice. And Dallas, I think, is the only one that, if I'm being honest, even as a Cowboys fan, they're the only ones not holding up their end of the bargain.
And I'm going to put a lot of that on Dak.
Yes.
Because he had some key turnovers. And he in his mind, he's like, I can make this pass. I don't care if they're double covered. And he turned it over in some bad times.
Right.
Yeah. I like the way Washington played that game. I think they played good, but I look more of it as Philadelphia played bad. And they had 4 turnovers. They only had 3 all year long.
Yep.
They had less than 100 yards rushing, less than 200 yards passing. And, of course, Washington had 81 plays to their 47. Their defense could not stop that offense. It's not that good.
No.
Taylor Heineke did not play that good of a game.
No, he had 2 turnovers himself.
Yeah, he had 2 turnovers. I mean, he only completed like 54% of his passing.
They're missing their
Philadelphia. I look at this game as Philadelphia played a horrible game.
Philadelphia is missing their rookie rush stopper.
Yeah.
And they picked somebody up, Linville, Joseph Linville.
After the game.
Yeah.
Right after the game, because they realized that they can't stop a mediocre run game.
Right.
Yeah. And, this goes back to last week when James called out Philadelphia being an overrated 8-0 team. You called the upset, and a few weeks prior, I said, I want to see what Philadelphia does when they get behind, because they just do not score in the second half.
Yep.
And sure enough, it all showed.
I'm going to say this game would have been completely different if it would not have been played on Monday night. And here's my reasoning behind that. You have ESPN there all week doing all their little side stories, and your mind is focused then on, well, ESPN's saying I'm the best quarterback ever. So Jalen Hurts is thinking, oh my gosh, ESPN's following me around. I'm great. They do all these little fun video essays about their playing and how great they are. So in their mind, they keep getting pumped up. Had they not had that, I think they would have been more focused. Had that been a Sunday afternoon game, I think Eagles would have won.
Yeah.
But it was Monday night, and ESPN did come in and do all those little stories, and it inflated their ego a little too much.
But on the flip side, I think Rivera and this defense, like you're talking about the 4 turnovers, this defense and it being a division game, you know, these obviously they don't like each other. Washington doesn't like Philly, whatever. But I think Washington's defense played way better than we have seen them play in the last few weeks to give them a chance to win. I mean, they stopped the run. Like you said, they had 20 running, averaged 4 yards a run, 4.7 in their runs. But they couldn't stay on the field long enough. And the 4 turnovers will do it. And again, that was Hurts. Two of those throws I saw when I was able to watch the game, I'm like, dude, and it's almost like the Dak thing. I can make this throw.
Yeah,
I am the greatest quarterback, right?
It's the ego.
It's the Washington Redskins. I can make this. Dak's like, I can throw this in there at Green Bay. They're not going to score anyway.
Your ego gets in the way.
Yeah, and all you do is hurt the team.
Yeah.
Yep.
But did you guys watch much of the game? I mean,
I tried to. I like going
I watched quite a bit of it, and there was a play where this Quez Watkins, I mean, he had the defense beat. Jalen threw the ball well, and for some reason he left his feet to catch the ball. How he not catch the ball on the run,
jump too
and
early,
take it to the house? But it wasn't a perfect throw. It ain't like he caught it on a dead run, but he ran to the side and caught it and left his feet basically to die for it, which he didn't have to, which allowed Washington to catch up to him and then strip the ball from him when he got up and started running. I was just like,
yes,
why are you diving for that ball? I didn't quite get that.
Yeah, and I was surprised. At first, I really thought he didn't have control of it because he dropped it so quickly.
Yeah.
But then when they show the replay, the guy comes from behind, knocks it out right away. Washington scoops it up, and then they were wondering, was he down by contact when he made that unnecessary dive for the ball? Yeah, I remember seeing that play, and that really turned the game.
Mm-hmm.
That sealed it for Washington pretty much, besides the roughing the passer.
So turning the game, can the Eagles have a memory of a goldfish? Forget last game, and they're at the Colts, who you'd already mentioned. Jeff Saturday is going to come in, and I'm going to leave some notes, some links in the description about what people thought about the Jeff Saturday hire, and it goes from Tony Dungy. I'm also going to leave a link where Jeff Saturday got into a fight with Peyton Manning when they played. Jeff Saturday was Peyton Manning's center, and Tony Dungy is saying that these are two smart players, and they both want to win, and that's why they got into a fight, because they both think they're right. So why do I say that? Because Jeff Saturday is a smart guy. He just doesn't have any experience, but he got thrust into the limelight because now he is made a head coach for the 4-5-1 Colts, hosting the Eagles, who are favored by 6.5. Overs are set at 45. Roger?
Was it his call once he got there to say, hey, Matt Ryan, you're my starter?
Yes.
Okay. I just, because I noticed Matt Ryan played, and we talked earlier that, like, well, Matt Ryan's done. He ain't going to play again. But Jeff Saturday comes in, and here he is playing, and he wins.
So
I don't even know what kind of game he had. I didn't even look at the stats, but I know Matt Ryan started. He played every down.
And I think that might have been a Jeff Saturday decision, because I want my experienced guy. Or did Jeff Saturday look to his offensive coordinator and say, what do you want to do?
But he already seen what the other guy had to offer. The other guy had a few games.
Sam Ellinger.
Yeah, he had a few games. So in my mind, and we know where Saturday came from, where he was doing his morning show all the time and reviewing and doing games and doing all the analytics or whatever you want to call about it. So he probably saw the two and figured, Matt Ryan gives me my best shot, and why not give him his best shot? My whole thing on the whole situation with Saturday is that came so far out of the blue. Irsay firing Frank Reich, I think, was a bad idea to begin with. I don't think this is a Frank Reich issue on this team. But I'm under the impression that he had to have been talking to Jeff numerous times about, hey, I'm looking to make this change. Would you be interested? Because I don't know if he just fires Frank and then whatever it was, a day or so later, all of a sudden, hey, Jeff Saturday, you're my coach, you're my guy. And Saturday's like, what? No, he didn't seem too blindsided by the call of being the coach of the Colts. So this was being in the works for, I'm guessing, a couple weeks of what you would do, those hidden interviews. And that's why I agree with some of these critics that you have two head coaches, two previous NFL head coaches on that coaching staff. The Denver guy being one of them, and I can't think of his name right now. Fox, sorry.
Yeah,
John Fox is on that team, who's a previous winner in Denver. You could have went to him as your interim coach to finish out the year and do your due diligence and give this team a chance at a real coach when you do your interviews.
Okay, so following up on that, if Jeff Saturday's smart, he reached out to Fox and said, what do you think we should do?
No, right, yeah, but I'm talking about to make Jeff Saturday the interim and not a already proven head coach, experienced guy. You're bringing a guy that has, 2 years of high school coaching experience. That's it. At any level, he has 2 years high school, and now you're having him coach your Indianapolis Colts NFL football team, which is the highest level. Granted, you won. You beat Vegas, which almost everybody beats Vegas. But, okay, I'm saying all this, but I totally think the Colts beat the Eagles. I do.
I think it's too early for me to say, was Saturday a good hire or not. But I'm going to say I understand what Irsay is doing. I understand that he wasn't happy with Frank Reich. And it's actually it's a game around who you like as a coach and as an owner. So coaches bring in players who they like, and owners bring in coaches who they like. And if Jeff Saturday was well liked by Irsay because he played for them and is a smart guy, I think he can be a CEO. And by CEO, I mean coach.
Why now?
Why not now?
No, I mean, why didn't you bring him in instead of Frank Reich to begin with?
Because he probably liked Frank Reich as well. But once you get out of his once you're in the doghouse, you're in the doghouse with Irsay. Because there was friction with Peyton Manning and Irsay, and that's what forced Peyton Manning out of there.
To Denver, right.
Yeah. So let's focus on this. Eagles 6.5 favorite, 45 overs. I heard James say the Colts are going to beat them.
I think Saturday has that young mentality, or the new guy mentality. He knows how to talk to the players, or I'm going to miss the word. Not resonate with them, but interact with them where the positive way, get the best out of them. And I think he can play the underdog card. And as you can see, we saw what will beat the Eagles if you run the ball, keep it out of their hands. Hey, Matt, just don't turn it over. Let's take the dink and the dunk. Taylor's still out, right? I think Taylor's still out.
He played last week.
Oh, did he? Okay, if they have Taylor back.
Yeah, they ran the ball. They ran the ball more than throw.
Yeah,
so,
I didn't. That game wasn't on. Obviously,
I think he ran the ball 22 times or so.
Perfect. Yes, I'm taking the Colts 100%. If they're at home, Saturday gets the next gig, and then now those critics will be like, "Oh, well, maybe." But again, I don't think this should be the head coach.
Roger?
I like Philadelphia.
Yeah. Okay.
Indy did win, but like James pointed out, it was Vegas. Vegas just, I don't know what's going on there. They can't win. And Indianapolis isn't going to score a whole lot of points. Philadelphia's going to outscore them, beat them. That's just how I look at it. I don't think Indianapolis is I'm not going to fall for it yet. Just because they beat Vegas, I like Philadelphia.
The Colts could turn it around and run the table the rest of the season, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to take the Eagles and the unders. I think the Eagles learned a lot. This is a noon Sunday game. Yeah. ESPN isn't following Jalen Hurts around and the rest of the team, pumping them up, going, "Oh, you guys are the greatest.
Yeah,
you guys are on a undefeated season." And one of them even said, "I'm glad we lost. We don't have to worry about an undefeated season." And I know that weighed on a lot of them. So again, it gets to ego. So I think the egos have been checked and the Eagles turned it around. And then James took the upset in the Colts, which could potentially happen. We don't know. Packers
yes,
at home.
Get to this Thursday night game. They have a good game coming on Thursday night only because the Packers won last week.
Packers hosting the Titans. Titans 6-3, Packers 4-6 coming off that win at home against the Cowboys. Packers are favored by 3. Overs are set at 42. I'm going Titans. I don't see them winning back-to-back weeks. They being the Packers. I don't see it happening. I know some family that are huge Packers fan, and Aaron Rodgers is not on the same page with his head coach.
Last week they were, because he was willing to run the ball, 40 times also? 39 times he ran the ball. He didn't audible out of that. They called a running play. He was efficient, 17 of 20, 16 of 20, something like that. But he was willing to stay humble enough to go, I can hand this ball off 39 times.
I don't think that was the factor that did it. I think it was Dak's interceptions.
True, but still, you're running the ball 39 times. You're not having Aaron Rodgers throw it 39 times and running it 20.
So the other side of that is they ran it that many times because they're not that impressed with how he can throw with an injured thumb. He still has a thumb injury.
But again, very efficient, 17 of 20, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. I get it. I see both sides of that.
Right.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. I'm still taking the Titans.
I agree, because Titans have #2 run defense. They do have some big key players out. They have 3 or 4 key defenders out. But I think the Titans and Vrabel's mentality in the defensive side stuffs the run, makes Green Bay one-dimensional. I mean, I'm not scared of Titans' offense, but Derrick Henry can get going. It's a Thursday night game. The bad thing against this, Green Bay's at home, didn't have to travel. Tennessee is a team that does have to travel. They lose a day, short week. So it's going to be an ugly game, but I think it should be I'm hoping it's a good 24-20 game. Tennessee wins.
Tennessee wins. Roger?
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of an old school game. I think both teams run the ball a lot, and that can either make for good football or really boring football.
It's going to be cold.
Yeah.
I'll take Tennessee, though.
Game time, they say it's supposed to be around 31 degrees in Green Bay. And it's a noon game. I'm sorry, it's a Thursday night game. So some wind could whip up and it could be, with wind chill close to 10. So I agree with Roger. It could be an old school, we're going to try to win this by running. And
I hope the punters get off the bus. They might have to bring 2 because of all the kicking.
Yeah. Well, Tennessee's quarterback play is not good.
Oh, and on that, Tennessee does not have their kicker. They're bringing in a backup kicker because theirs hurt. So those 40-yard, 41-yard field goals where you just want to get 3 points, they might be going for it on 4th down, mainly because their kicker's gone.
Their kicker. I didn't realize their kicker was hurt. I'm looking it up all their injuries right now, and oh my gosh, they have a huge list.
Yes, they were talking about that this morning.
Caleb Shudak, the Titans placed Shudak on the reserve list Tuesday.
Yep.
And it's an undisclosed injury. Interesting.
Yeah, he has a hangnail on the right kicking foot. Now, I'm making that up. I have no idea.
Fair enough. We're going to move on to a noon Patriots game at New England. The Jets are coming to town. 6-3 Jets, 5-4 Patriots. Patriots are favored by 3, 38.5 overs. The Jets. Again, their quarterback kind of has that ego where he can throw it between double coverage and he can sneak it in there sometimes. And then he also throws some interceptions. On the year, he has 5 interceptions against 4 touchdowns. Zach Wilson.
Yeah, and he missed a good portion of the season. The old Ravens quarterback, Flacco played, started most of the season for him. I think he's still, if you want to give him the Dak excuse and all the other ones that get hurt, getting back in the feel of the game. It's only his fourth game back. So, this game is interesting to me. Is Jets win, they stay in the driver's seat for the AFC East. If the Pats win, it's still a battle in that AFC that me and Roger were talking earlier. Everyone's above 500. Pats are 5-4. Assuming they lose, they're sitting at 500. Jets, I can't be surprised team. Like I said, those young guys early, and if they didn't lose that running back, they very well could be sitting at 1 or 2 losses.
I'm glad you brought that up because they brought in James Robinson and they get another week of him practicing, and I think that's going to be huge. So I'm going to go the Jets.
Yeah, I love the Jets in this game, and that's one of the reasons I put it on is AFC East, NFC East, Roger brought it up. All above 500, and the other leagues, other conferences can't, or other divisions can't say that. This is going to come down to the wire. The Pats really, really need this game. Jets do, but don't. They can survive with the loss, but again, I think the Jets are just getting better.
Roger?
I like the Patriots at home. I'll take the Patriots and the 3 points at home. Since both quarterbacks came back, because Mac Jones was out for the Patriots too.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't even think of that guy's name. That
starts with a Z.
Zane? Whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he looked really good.
Yeah, and they wanted him to play.
Right.
Well, Mac Jones came back, and since Zach Wilson and Mac Jones both have come back, neither one's played real well. I think they're going to do about the same thing we talked about in the earlier game, Green Bay, Tennessee. I think both teams run the ball a lot, and I'll take Patriots at home -3.
Bailey Zappi.
There you go.
I went against the Patriots when Chicago came to town and Chicago beat them, or vice versa. I can't remember, but I went against
Chicago went into New England. Yeah,
that's right, and whipped them. But Rodgers taking them, and I get it.
These guys played a couple weeks ago. Jets winning 22-17. I think that was more of a Zappy game also. But these two, you can't get more even. 22 a game and 18-19 defensively given up. So they're right there. I like Zach Wilson and the Jets, mainly if Zach doesn't turn the ball over.
Okay, speaking of turnovers, Cowboys at the Vikings. It's a 3:25 afternoon game. 8-1 Vikings, 6-3.
How
Cowboys.
in the world are the Cowboys favored by 2, 2.5, 3, whatever it is right now, game on the road after that, whatever mess you want to call Green Bay game?
Yeah, earlier I was looking at this and they had it set at 1, and I think that was Tuesday, and now they've upped it to 1.5 or 2, whatever you want to call it.
Dallas by 1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Dallas by 1 when I looked at it. So
they've upped it by a half point, so now it's 1.5 or 2, however you want to look at it. They're on the road at the Vikings.
You have a great running back in Dalvin Cook, a team that is pretty much a 50-50 run-pass team. You have a Cowboys team giving up 290, it feels like 290 yards rushing, 200 yards rushing a game, like 223, whatever it is, going into Minnesota, and somehow they're favored. I don't like it. To me, after watching Minnesota against Buffalo, and to play that grid out, down 17, 27-10, getting in the fourth quarter, you're down on the goal line, you turn the ball over, and then Buffalo gives you a gift and turns it right back over to you. A lot of stuff happening in the game. But anyway, Minnesota showed me more grit than the Cowboys did, blowing a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter when all you have to do is stop the darn run, and you couldn't do that. So what happens when they're up 3, and Minnesota's like, hey, we're just going to run Dalvin Cook 9 times in a row. And next thing you know, now you're down 4 because you gave up a touchdown.
I think if they would have started Cooper Rush, they would have beat the Packers because he would have managed the game better. He wouldn't have put themselves in dangerous positions throwing into double coverage because he has the reps and he also knows what the receivers are going to do. Like you say, Dak was out for a number of games.
Right. The only way I disagree with you on that is those turnovers weren't given the ball in scoring, weren't inside the red zone. I'm sorry, they didn't give the Green Bay the ball in the red zone. Green Bay still had to drive. The Dallas defense to give up 28 points to a team that was barely scoring 17, 18, whatever it is a game, to give up 28 and 400 yards of offense. You let a rookie catch 3 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
To me, the defense was a difference. But yes, the turnovers didn't help. But you can't give up 28 points to a team not scoring on the road or not.
I wholeheartedly agree. All the above.
Yeah.
All the above.
Yeah.
Roger, Vikings or Cowboys?
I'll take the Vikings at home. Going back to Dallas, and we'll talk about last week's game here. I know we wanted to talk about it anyway, but they 2 weeks in a row now, their defense has given up over 200 yards on the ground. And of course,
to a lowly Bears team and a lowly Green Bay team.
And of course they beat the Bears by 20. So we didn't touch on it last week because of course you win by 20. I mean, who cares if you give up 200 yards on
right.
the ground. I mean, he
Right.
won by 20. But anyway, that's 2 weeks in a row now they give up over 200 yards. Minnesota has Dalvin Cook. I think they feed him. I think they just say, hey, until Dallas can prove they can stop us, let's run the ball.
Yep.
But yeah, Dallas had a 14-point lead going into that fourth quarter.
Right.
And they didn't score a single point the rest of the game.
Nope.
Got outscored 17-0.
Looking at the numbers, Roger hit the nail on the head. Cowboys allow 134.6 yards a game. And with Dalvin Cook coming at you, I don't see it stopping.
Well, like I said, I think the last 4 games they've given up over 175 yards.
Yeah. Well,
And
the numbers I just gave you was average for the whole season.
And then, of course, the last 2 games, 200. But Dallas was in the history of their franchise, they were 195-0 when entering the fourth quarter with a 14-point lead.
Yep.
Now they're 195-1.
And it'd been different if this wasn't a talented team. There is so much talent on this team that that record or that streak shouldn't have ended.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the people to make it. And my problem with this game the most is you gave up the 200 yards to the Bears, and granted, won by 20, so everybody's like giving it a free pass. You had a bye week. So last year when the Dallas lost in the playoffs, they wanted McCarthy out. Well, not me, but a lot of people were like, oh, McCarthy out. They wanted Dan Quinn as the coach. You know, he had proven experience, blah, blah, blah. And he has his defense playing lights out, right? Dan Quinn coming off a bye week, trying to make adjustments, whatever. To me, I would think, hey, we got to fix the run defense. And you don't. You literally look like you didn't even have a bye week. You played exactly like you did against the Bears and gave up another 200 yards on the ground to a team not doing that. And where was any adjustment when it literally didn't look like they had a bye week. Or they did have a bye week and did absolutely nothing. It was like, hey, just go get healthy. We'll see you in 2 weeks. That was horrible.
So I think it was also a horrible call for McCarthy not to kick a field goal in overtime. I mean, and all of that together, everything we're all saying, wrap it all together, and it equals a loss.
When he made that decision, did Green Bay already possess the ball?
No.
So that would have won the game or not?
No, that wouldn't have won the game, but it would have given some points. It would have gave you a little bit of momentum.
Right.
And it would have been huge if they got it, but they didn't.
Right. It was a 52-yarder. I didn't have a problem with them going for it. My only problem with them going for it is they didn't have any momentum. I like it. The analytics don't make sense to me. It's the feel of the game and the flow. If your team had been dominant and making plays and moving the ball easily, yeah, you go for that every time you do it. But when your team is very, like you said, hadn't scored the entire fourth quarter, had chances and just not moving the ball, yeah, to me, I'm like, okay, kick the field goal, but you want to say, hey, I believe in you guys, we're going to win this game. But he also probably knew our defense hasn't stopped them the last 3 drives. So we need this first down.
But also on that 4-3, they got a lot of pressure. So I get it. Hey, we don't expect to not get this, but I would have liked to have seen him run it with Pollard.
They should have ran it on 3rd down. I didn't, and even though, and I'm not blaming the rest, CeeDee Lamb got mauled on that 3rd and 3 pass play. He got grabbed. But yes, on that 3rd and 3, you have to run that ball. So it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and if anything, Dak can scramble and get it.
Didn't Pollard run the ball 22 times for 100 yards?
Yes, he was amazing. They ran 5-yard average.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, Kellen Moore and Dak, for whatever reason, when they go, hey, you know, Cooper Rush did manage this game well, and we did run the ball well, but yeah, let's throw it more. So Dallas threw the ball 46 times. Why are you throwing the ball 46 times when your backs are... The rookie only had 5 or 7 carries, and he was doing great. Davis, like I said, they averaged 5 yards a carry against Green Bay, and they went away from it.
To me, the stats speak for themselves. Dak Prescott threw 3 touchdowns, but had 2 interceptions and 2 sacks. Aaron Rodgers had 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and also 2 sacks. That changes the game when you give him the ball, and Green Bay can capitalize on and get points on those interceptions. So, getting back to the Cowboys at Vikings, I picked the Vikings. Roger took the Vikings.
Same.
Yeah. And last week we talked about our top 3, and I put Dallas in the top 3 just ahead of Minnesota.
Yeah.
And here now, a week later, they're playing each other, and now I'm taking Minnesota.
Yeah.
So I And it's mostly because of that run, because of them not stopping the run last week.
Yeah.
And I want to say none of us had Minnesota in the top 3.
Yeah, none of us did.
I don't think I wrote them down.
No,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had Cowboys, Niners, and Eagles.
Yeah.
And I had the Seahawks in there. So, yeah, we didn't even have Minnesota in there. And like I said, that after that win against Buffalo,
yeah,
I can't count them out.
Yeah. That was huge. That was a huge
You took Minnesota
swing.
then, James?
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to look at 2-7 Raiders who lost last week. And we're going to look at the Broncos that are 3-6. They're at home. Broncos are favored by 2.5.
Raiders play the West well. They battle Kansas City to the end. They play the Chargers. They really get up for these division games. I really want to say the Raiders win this game in an upset, and it's one of the reasons I picked this one. But I can't make the pick. I'm still pick Denver. When I do my picks, I still make the mark on Denver. But I really feel Raiders win this game. I mean, it's nuts. I can't make the pick.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering why this game was added to our list.
James texted me and he wanted to talk about this one.
Yeah, I don't.
McDaniels might be on his way out. That Carr was crying in the press conference because he doesn't know what's wrong with the team after the loss of the Colts, who just lost their coach, by the way. And I don't know if that's a record, but numerous coaches have been fired this year. You know, if you go to back college, like Scott Frost, Mickey wins his first, not the Oklahoma game, but they win games after their coaches are lost. Philadelphia in baseball fired their manager, and then they go on and play in the World Series. So that's crazy. But Vegas has talent. They came in talking about even making the playoffs as a wild card or contending for the West, and here they're at the bottom. But they do have the talent to score, but the game is on the road at Denver.
Yeah, I don't like McDaniels as a head coach.
No.
Yeah, I'm taking Broncos at home. James, are you taking? You say you want to take the Vegas.
Broncos are the home team.
Yeah.
Okay, I written it down wrong.
Bro, they're at home. 2.5 point favorite.
I had Raiders circled because they were at home, but no, I'll stick with the Raiders. It's going to be a close game. I don't know. I guess I don't really care about this game.
Maybe I should have put it down because I don't want to pick it. But yeah, give me the Raiders. Why not?
All right.
I'll go out on the limb.
All right.
Hopefully it's strong and holds me.
Yeah.
Roger and James took the Raiders, and I'm the Broncos fan that took the Broncos. So I brought this up to you guys via text that international play is great, but if you have home season tickets and the one game where they're playing out of the country, you don't get a refund.
Right. Your season tickets cost the same amount.
Yeah.
And they're not. Are you giving me airfare over there?
And I brought that up because the Monday night game is played in Mexico City. The Cardinals are the supposed home team hosting the red hot 49ers, and they're favored by 8 in Mexico City. Honestly, when you do an international, I would put the line at even because that is huge.
Thank you.
But it's against the Cardinals. I'm taking the Niners all day long in this one.
They're going to win this game by 8. So, I think their defense really steps up. I think they shut the Cardinals down.
So interesting on this game, if the Cards can manage a win, them and the 49ers will be 5-6. Right behind the Seahawks, who are currently 6-4. I don't know who they have this week. But that West is still very wide open. Division games could make a difference. Like I said, Niners are playing great, but I don't think they're playing that great. They did not look that good against the Chargers, who, by the way, has 3/4 of their team hurt. They don't even have a real wide receiver for Herbert to throw the ball to, and they battled the Niners all the way to the end.
Here's the crazy thing. Colt McCoy, who came in, is also questionable, and Kyler Murray is questionable. So,
I heard on Tuesday. Man, I forget today's Thursday already. Tuesday, they said looks like McCoy was going to start. But yeah, either way, they're still kind of banged up.
Oh, well, that even makes it even more Niners.
Yeah, I'm going Niners.
Even though Colt McCoy did win, right?
And
yes, he did. Yes.
Colt McCoy is a great guy at just managing the game. Don't turn it over. Do what you need to do. Where Kyler Murray is, I'm going to go in there and I have the ability to make this throw, or I have the ability to run
around
for everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So, James?
Yeah.
All right. While he's thinking about that, I'll bring up that Tampa Bay game that was played in Germany.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks just could not get nothing going. For 3 quarters, they scored 3 points.
Yeah.
And I think at that time, the score was 14-3.
Their defense
And I
played really
sent
well.
you a text saying they need to open up the old archives of the football follies again, watching Tom Brady go out for a pass.
Oh, my gosh.
that looks terrible. I mean, he's probably the greatest quarterback we ever seen, but yet he's the worst athlete on the field every day.
So why do you even draw that play up?
Oh, he cannot run. He can't do nothing. He's terrible. I mean, it's funny. Like I said, I mean, maybe we give him a pass because he is so great, but the game was 14-3, and they try that trick play and throw an interception. And I texted you guys right away going, I hope the Seahawks come back. Right. What kind of jokes are they going to make about Tom Brady? Of course, they stopped him, and then Tom Brady went right down the field, scored. Tampa Bay won the game, but I was wanting to see Seahawks win that game so bad.
And he fell down. I mean, he couldn't even plant to make the catch or go up for it. The guy played 7 yards off of him. You had a running back throwing him the ball. I don't know where you draw that play up to an unathletic person like Brady trying to run down the field who's not going to outrun anyone.
Yeah.
I even took the Seahawks. I was hoping they would get it done, but again,
I did too.
It's overseas.
That same formation that they set up earlier in the game, nobody even covered him. I mean, they all come to the line, and Tom Brady was out there all by himself. So he finally said, "Throw me the ball because they ain't covering me."
Right. But
now,
again,
let's say they do that same thing and they throw him the ball and he catches it at the 20-yard line. That guy's still going to catch him and tackle him because he cannot run.
That's what I'm saying is, and you're having a running back, wide receiver, whoever throw the ball back to him. They don't have the zip on the ball.
No.
And it has to travel all the way back across the field.
Yes.
So that linebacker that's 8, 9, 10 yards off of him is still going to get over there. And by the way, if they get there at the same time, I am hitting the out of him.
Yeah.
I am lighting up Tom Brady.
Well, obviously he slides, I would guess.
No. I'm talking about if the ball and you get there at the same time. So as he's catching the ball, you get a free shot at not just Tom Brady, but at a quarterback that's not in the pocket, that's not protected. Oh, he's getting a love tap. Yeah. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So last week I made fun of Brady. I'm like, oh, yeah, he's got to figure it out. Well, it's not just Brady, but the whole team somehow got to figure it out on the road. And not just the road, Germany.
Yeah.
Again, though, the Green Bay, they ran the ball 44 times. They hadn't ran the ball 20 times going into that game.
Yeah.
Brady knew, they did throw it 29. They had a lot of plays, but they ran the ball 44 times in that Seattle game. Again, Brady Rodgers, 2 elite quarterbacks who we know can just sling it, but realized, we're going to have to lean on the running game today.
And it wasn't even Fournette. It was White.
No, right, yeah. And he's the young guy, and I think he's better than Fournette, in my opinion.
But Brady was efficient.
Yes.
22 of 29.
Right. Rodgers was 17 of 20.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is they went ahead and said, you know what, you're right. I'm going to call this run play.
So he gave you time.
Yes.
Cardinals or the Niners?
I can't get Arizona to win as much as looking at the numbers and running it.
You know what none of us have called all year is a tie. So are you going to call a tie?
Yeah, let's call a tie. Niners win mainly because Arizona has problem with the run and McCaffrey's on their team now. So, and not to mention they still have that wide receiver guy that runs. Samuels.
Debo.
Yeah, with Debo McCaffrey, wow, that's quite the 1-2 punch they have.
Yeah, and they got back, I think just last week they got back that their starting running back from the get-go, Mitchell.
Right.
Yeah.
But
they shipped that Jeff Wilson, which I thought they had some running back depth crazy.
Yeah.
But then they shipped Wilson to Miami, I believe.
Yeah, but you got to do that when you have already 3. I mean, you have a big 3 with McCaffrey.
Well, before McCaffrey was there, Wilson was the starter because of what's his face getting hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
But now that he's back and you have McCaffrey and you have Samuels, I get it. You got to make room.
Yeah.
So Debo has rushed for 165 yards on 28 attempts, giving him a 5.9 average.
Yes.
And in receiving, he has 411 yards on 60 targets, 34 receptions, giving him a 12.1 average.
Yeah.
2 receiving touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
So he's just a weapon and just an amazing athlete.
Yeah, he's not the guy that's going to touch the ball 15 times usually and 20 times and, you know, get you 150 yards, but he gets you them yards in them crucial moments, you know, and he'll end every game with 50, 60 yards total.
You talk about a Swiss Army knife. You have McCaffrey as a running back that can catch the ball like crazy. You have Deebo Samuels, who's a wide receiver who can run the ball like crazy. What a offensive plays you can draw up for those 2 guys in motion. Yeah. Just motion them in and out of the backfield, switching spots, making the defense second guess. Yeah, if I'm an offensive coordinator, just make them mad scientists. I mean, these guys are going to make a defense drive them nuts. And oh, by the way, you have that Uguay or that right Ewart or whatever, that wide receiver they have, who I think's really good young talent that is going to be sneaky good.
Brandon Ayuk.
Ayuk, yeah.
I'm not sure how to say his last name. Aiyuk. Brandon is an amazing young.
Yes, very young. Second year.
So all the things we said, and that's why we think the 49ers are going to win.
Unfortunately, yes.
And while we were talking about our discussion of what we wanted to talk about today, Roger said, hey, are we going to talk about MLB awards? So, Roger?
Yeah, I just seen that they handed out the Cy Young Awards last night, and that Sandy Alcantara for the Florida Marlins won it. He threw 220 innings, which is a lot of innings. I mean, a lot of innings for today's game.
Yeah.
And, of course, James has a couple other things to add to that. And then, of course, we all realized that Justin Verlander was going to win the American League.
Right.
And then tonight, the MVP awards get handed out. And it looks to me like it's between Judge, Ohtani, and Alvarez in the American League, and Arenado, Goldschmidt, and Machado in the National League. So we'll see.
Yeah. I like Judge in the American League and Goldschmidt in the National League just off the top. But what I liked about this Cy Young, first time they were both voted unanimously on both sides in a while. And when you're talking about those innings, David Price in 2016 had 23 innings more than any other pitcher in 2022. That Alcantara, that 228 innings, 6 complete games. No team had more than 5 complete games, and he had 6 on his own. I mean, he had what they said, 14 of his starts, he went 8 innings. I mean, we can't get a guy to go 6, and this guy went 8 innings 14 separate times.
Next season, I think Ohtani's going to go off because it's the last year of his contract, so he's going to try to play lights out. And professional athletes, no matter the sport, always like to go balls to the walls when they know that more money is on the line.
Do you think he stays in Anaheim, Roger? Do you think Ohtani stays?
I don't know. I guess I don't know. I haven't. He's one name that I haven't really noticed when it comes to off-season talks, free agent movement, any of that. So I don't know much about Ohtani. I know Judge has been in the news. The one guy I think has a chance of coming to Atlanta, Jacob deGrom.
Oh, that's all they need is more pitching, for crying out loud.
Yeah. So.
I don't know where Ohtani would go, but if somebody waves more money in his face than the Angels are able to give him,
I'm wondering if he goes for less to win, because right now he has to see the writing on the wall that unfortunately Trout did not see, that we're not winning a championship here in the next 5 years. I'm not getting any younger. Maybe I take a cut to go to the Dodgers, the Padres, the Braves, or if I go to the National League, where I can still hit and pitch. But I think that's going to be the big thing, is which team is going to say, you are getting older, but we're still going to let you hit and pitch. Because Anaheim, when he came over, Anaheim was the only team that said, yes, you can do both. All the other teams are like, even the Yankees threw a lot of money at him, but they were not going to let him hit.
And I think he wants to win. And
yes.
And that is huge. There's been a lot of athletes across all sports that have swallowed their pride and have understood if I go to a team with a chance to win everything for less money, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant did it when he went to the Warriors. They split up that huge lineup of OKC, and he won a ring, and now he's been chasing a ring ever since.
Right.
But I agree with you. If Ohtani gets picked up by a team that's a contender, huge.
Oh, yeah, he'll definitely bring them 5, 6 more wins than what they had the year before, if not 10, just pitching and his clutch hitting, if he keeps it up.
Yeah.
Granted, this will be his biggest year. This will be his contract year. So he'll go off, and it depends on what kind of money he either demands or is willing to take to go to a contender. And I would love to see him as a Yankee. Just because he plays the game and loves it. He's always smiling, always happy. Those are the guys I like to see play.
Oh, that'd be great for Yankees. He'd be great on the Braves too. Yeah. That to come in pitching and then also give him another batter that can get people moved across to scoring position, not just hit the home run.
Yeah, and he's a lefty.
Oh,
yeah,
that's huge. Roger?
Going back to the NFL, you guys see the forecast for the Buffalo?
I did. Oh, I was going to bring that up.
4 feet of snow.
Yeah, not 4 to 6 inches, 4 to 6 feet. That they're honestly talking about relocating the game right now.
Yes. They thought that most of the snow was going to be gone by Sunday, which, I guess
gives them a chance.
Maybe they're in Buffalo, they're prepared for it. I don't know.
They are.
Yeah, I mean, if it snows a lot here, I am so amazed on how fast they can clean it up here. Well, we just have so much equipment here that just cleans up a road. And then when you hear about some state down south getting 4 inches of snow, it's just like, oh God, everybody's got to stay home because we don't have one snow plow in the entire state.
Yes. I've seen the clips when Green Bay gets 2 feet of snow and all the fans go in to help out clean it. They push all the snow onto these like big tarps and run it down to the field. They just keep putting it on there and it slides it all on the field and they clear off the field within hours.
Yeah.
But they have all these, and I'm guessing Buffalo, they have a huge fan base. Go in there and help. Hey, yeah, let's clean this thing out. But the biggest thing is do you get your streets cleared up enough so people can get
That's
there?
what I'm saying. I don't know if they're going to relocate or just play in front of no fans. Because, I mean, they're going to shut down the state, tell people not to leave. I mean, we get your cars off the roads. We got to clean,
Yeah, they don't bat an eye at 6, 8 inches of snow. But when you talk 4 to 6 feet of snow, that's a whole different level ball game.
And it's happened before in Buffalo.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
Lucky.
I remember reading a story about how I think it was an offensive lineman, was trying to get to the game, and he couldn't get out of his subdivision because no one, like you guys had said, had cleaned the streets. So he luckily got there. He walked someplace and called somebody to come and get him.
Yeah.
But it's interesting when you get 4 feet of snow.
You just have to, I mean, I don't know. I don't know because I mean, if it's snowing that hard, because they're talking this 4 to 6 feet, they were talking about it in the 48-hour period. I mean, you can't see, obviously, so you can't be out there plowing.
That's 2 days straight of snowing, big flakes that you'd love to see.
Yeah, coming off the lake. I mean, it's just a wet, heavy, Yeah, and if those people are smart, I know someone's like, well, why are you shoveling now? It just keeps snowing. Because it's easier to shovel 8 inches of snow than it is to shovel 4 feet of wet snow, you knucklehead. Yeah.
So I'll shovel.
So you go out like 7 times.
Yeah, I'll go out every time it's, foot deep, where it covers my feet. Yeah, I'm going to stay ahead of it.
Yeah.
And by the way, when you make that pile next to your driveway that's taller than your mailbox now, in North Dakota, we had a few big snows like that, and we kept piling up. The base sent people around, scooped those big-ass piles off the end of the driveways. You had like a little tree stump, a little stump there, so you can pile it back up there again. I was like, oh, that's genius. I didn't know they did that. But I was like trying to throw it to the top. It was literally over 6 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Snow.
I love snow.
Yeah.
Well, when I don't have to drive. But
yeah.
Any other thoughts on anything else, James?
I do. I had a request about the SEC West.
Okay.
SEC West. So,
Yes.
Okay, Steph. The bad news is, and this is for all you college fans, Bama has a very good shot at still playing for the West. So LSU has A&M and Georgia left. They have another crappy game this weekend coming up against a nobody, so I didn't write it down. A&M, I can't say a trap game, but we'll play them tough. But then they have Georgia, which will give them their 3rd loss. Okay? Alabama's sitting at 2 losses. They really only have Auburn left. They beat Auburn, and LSU trips up against Georgia, which, unfortunately, I see that happening. Bama's in the driver's seat. Ole Miss is right there. Ole Miss has Arkansas and Mississippi State. But that would leave them with 2 losses and tied with Bama, and Bama beats them head up. So guess what? You're at Alabama winning the West again, playing Georgia for the SEC title. And if Alabama somehow comes out of that, and we were talking earlier about how would USC get in and, TCU, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, Alabama could crawl back in if they beat Georgia in SEC title. Now, if it's a close game, at 17, 18, 21, 20 game, and Bama loses, does a committee still keep them in the top 4? I hope not. I hope Bama has to win. But if that loss gives them, then I see a 1-loss USC team getting in if TCU trips up in between there. But yes, unfortunately, in the SEC West, LSU has got to somehow win to keep Alabama, if not out. And if LSU, again, I don't see they beat Georgia at all. Alabama's going to play for SEC championship again.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, the loser between Michigan and Ohio State, that'll give them 1 loss. So right. is either one of them team 1 loss better than USC's 1 loss to keep them up ahead of USC? I mean, usually, if you win, if you lose late in the year, it hurts more than losing early. Well, but with this committee kind of throwing all that out the window and just saying, hey, we want the 4 best teams in, sure, they can put a 2-loss team in over a 1-loss or a 1-loss team over a 0-loss team. I mean, they've done it in the past.
Right, and they used to say you have to win a conference title. We want you to be a conference champion. And then it was, oh, wait, Alabama didn't win. We're still going to put them in. Yeah. So I think if it's SEC bias, we know it is, no matter what people want to say. But no, if a Michigan, Ohio State, whoever loses that game is out, because they're not even going to play for the Big Ten title. Whoever wins it's going to win the Big Ten title because the other side's very weak. They might play, I don't know who's winning. Is it Illinois? I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like matter. A 4-way tie now. Right. Iowa's up there too.
Right. It doesn't matter. Whoever it is, Ohio State, Michigan is going to win that game, will win the Big Ten title. They're in. Whoever loses will be out because they lost late, and they will move up a 2-loss SEC team or I think a USC team ahead of them.
And everything you guys are saying is the reason that they want to expand the playoffs.
Yeah.
Is the exact reason they need to sooner than later.
Yep.
But I don't want 8. I mean, 6 to me would be the most because, again, when you look at whoever the number 7, 8, right now I think USC is like 7. But do we believe that number 8 team can beat the number 3 team? Usually no. I mean, it's not even close.
Yep.
So to me, they usually get the only thing is that the 6 are the ones that are jockeying. Alabama's still a really good team, but they played the 2 tough teams and they were lost. So I'm like, I don't want to see you play them again. And that was the whole thing when they played Bama and Georgia again 3 times. The season, the championship, and then the championship. And you're just like, really? Yeah. So again, SEC West, unfortunately, Alabama still has a shot. And it looks like a really good shot to play for SEC championship.
Yep. And conversely, they're all really talented.
Yeah.
Right.
They're very talented.
And,
go ahead, Roger.
Okay, one more thing. NHL. We like to talk about win streaks. Philadelphia had 8 wins. They went down. The New Jersey Devils now have a 10-game winning streak.
Woohoo!
Of course, there are no ties anymore in the NHL, so that's 10 legit wins. So I started looking at it, wondering who had the longest win streak in hockey. You go back to I think it was the Flyers. I think it was the 79-80 team, Philadelphia Flyers. I'm not sure on the year but they had 35 games of not losing.
Right, so wins and ties.
Yes, they had 25 wins and 10 ties, but for 35 games they did not lose.
That is nuts.
That is the longest streak in North American history without losing. 35 in a row.
You said 79-8, so that's pre-Eric Lindros.
I don't know who the roster was back then.
Yeah, I think he was late 80s. So,
but of course, we know the longest winning streak, actual winning streak, is the Lakers. They won 33 games in a row. But yeah, this Flyers had 35 consecutive games of not losing. That's a long time in hockey.
Yeah. And I was going to wear my Devils jersey today because of that, but it's really cold outside, so I didn't. But yeah, I've always been a Devils fan. If I picked a team in hockey, that's who I followed since high school. It's nice to see them win. I missed the Marty Brodeur days. So, I can't tell you who's on their team right now, but I'm still root for them.
All right. Earlier, I'd mentioned Ted Lasso, and off the cuff, I want you guys think about some movies or TV shows that you have seen that you really enjoy for a particular sport. Because I'd mentioned Ted Lasso, and I think that's a great show. You'd mentioned the Lakers, which made me think of Winning Time. We're talking hockey, and there's some very interesting hockey movies out there.
Miracle.
Yeah,
and it doesn't have to be hockey. Just
okay. Yeah. I can't watch hockey movie. I watch the hockey movies, but they're not for me. But my wife, she loves The Replacements. I can watch The Replacements with her all the time. Very entertaining. Keanu Reeves and Gene Hackman, where they're the scabs coming in.
That was a great movie. Right.
The scene in the prison where they're dancing and singing together, and they're finally getting a teamwork. The bar fight. They get in the huddle, and they're after they find out he was going to lose the game for him, they move it out of the way and let him get hit and just take like 3 times in a row. So it's really, I love The Replacements. I think it's a really good one. The other one is Adam Sandler and The Longest Yard, the remake of the Burt Reynolds.
Of The Longest, yeah.
The Burt Reynolds one was good, just not as funny. But when you have Kevin Nash taking estrogen and all that, it just cracks me up. But yeah, so the football movies do it for me more than the other sport movies.
A boxing movie, Bleed for This, about the Tasmanian Devil, where he kind of has more ego and he gets beat, and then he gets in this horrible accident, and then he comes back and he decides, I'm just going to do this. I'm
everyone's telling him no because of his injury.
Right, and I'm going to will myself to do this. Great movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of great boxing movies. Of course, Rocky's one of my favorites, and I just lost it. Oh, Cinderella Man. That's a very good movie.
I haven't. You've mentioned that to me before, and I need to watch that.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember way back in the day? I know we're all about the same age. So The Program.
Great movie.
Love that football. I mean, that was
James
one of the
Caan's the coach.
Yes, one of the early football movies. I never watched Varsity Blues. Well, I've seen lots of parts of it, but it was too high schooly for me. I didn't get into it. But when The Program came out, and I watched that as a football game, then you had that one, and then you had the Bruce Willis one with Damon Wayans. It's not really a football movie. It's more about the gambling behind football. But then, I've been hooked on football movies.
The Last Boy Scout.
Yes, thank you. I love football movies. Baseball.
Draft Day? Did you ever see Draft Day?
I did see Draft Day. I enjoyed it. But again, that was all more on the side. And what I said when me and the wife talked about that, I was like, this probably happens more than not, where an owner like a Jerry Jones says, I want Johnny Manziel. I want him. That's going to be our pick. And the coaching staff's like, dude, no. The GM's like, no. Thankfully, bigger heads or the smarter heads prevailed, and the Cowboys did not draft Johnny Manziel. But I guarantee that's how it looked like. Hey, we have to go after this name. And Kevin Costner does his due diligence in Draft Day and finds out why that guy is not a good guy and drafts as that linebacker, blah, blah, blah. So.
And sometimes in my mind, the owner says it's about marketing. I don't even care if he makes the team. What they did in bringing back Tim Tebow, and his jersey was the #1 seller preseason, and then he got cut.
Right, didn't make the team, right.
And it didn't matter.
Yeah, didn't.
He made up for it in selling the jerseys because that made the franchise tons of money.
And that's what Jerry Jones wanted Manziel for. Yeah. Oh, he's going to say, do we want wins or do we want a jersey sale that goes through the roof and sets a record?
Right. So we can go off on tangents all day long, but the behind the scenes for Draft Day was what really caught me and brought me into that movie, because it has nothing to do with football or hockey or baseball or boxing. But there's a series on Netflix called Glow, where it's behind the scenes for the women's wrestling. Gorgeous ladies of wrestling. You may or may not have watched them when they were actually wrestling, but the series is amazing because it's behind the scenes and how they did it. And they even actually used all-star wrestlers to come in and give them their analysis on what would make your show better.
Oh.
And if you haven't seen it, I think it's a great show. But any other shows, Roger and James, come to mind, or movies?
I like the Kevin Costner. He's pitching for Detroit. He's pitching a perfect game against the Yankees. I forget the name of that one. I like that one a lot because when the catcher comes up at the end and it's the guy that plays in Winning.
Yeah, John C. Reilly.
Yeah, John C. Reilly goes, "Hey, don't worry, we got you now."
The Perfect Game, I think, is the name
there
of
you
the
go.
movie.
Perfect. Oh, that would make perfect sense. Yeah. So then he's trying to strike these guys out, and he's like, "Man, I just can barely get over the plate." And he's like, "Don't worry, we got you."
Yeah.
Then the defense makes a play. One of the good baseball movies that I can watch. Besides, you go all the way back to The Natural. I really loved watching that movie and 8 Men Out. As far as baseball movies, but
Costner's been in a lot. I just did a quick search of baseball movies. Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, For the Love of Game, The Postman, A League of Their Own.
For the Love of the Game is the name of the movie you're talking about.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bull Durham's another one. I totally forgot about that. That one's funny. That's not one where I rewatch. But
what's the one with Emilio Estevez? Or not Emilio, Charlie Sheen as the Wild
League.
Thing. There you go, Major League. And they did, that was a huge series.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of sports movies. I mean, and I don't know why this one just pops in my head, but there's a game called For the Love, or The Greatest Game Ever Played. It's about Francis Ouimet, who was an amateur golfer back in like 1917 or 1918, and he wins the U.S. Open and beats out I forget even who the top golfers were back then, Harry Vardon. But that is actually a very, very good golf movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, and the only golf movies I like, Tin Cup, and I liked Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
As far as golf movies, that was the extent of it.
But no, I did like me Miracle. I did like me Invincible. There's a lot of good movies. But Mark Wahlberg's generally pretty good in whatever he does.
Yeah.
The movie with the brothers, one is played by Mark Wahlberg, and the other one, who's the crack addict that's getting followed around, what was it, by HBO? And they in his mind, he's like, "Oh yeah, they're filming my comeback," but it's actually
the boxing movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's
Mickey
telling
Ward.
What?
Mickey Ward.
Yeah, Mickey Ward. It was about Mickey Ward and his brother, and
Christian Bale.
Yeah, Christian Bale plays the crack addict.
Right.
And in his mind, he's like, "Yeah, they're following me around because I'm going to make a comeback into boxing."
Yeah, he plays Dickie Eklund.
Yeah.
And it's not about that.
No.
And
he's got it in his mind that it's about his comeback, and then he gets sent to jail. And he's like, "Oh, we got to watch this. This is about my comeback." And he gets mad because it's about his crack addiction.
Right.
And
he totally didn't see it because he's obviously addicted to crack.
Yeah.
And even though the movie, Mark's trying to get him away from it, trying to get him back to make the comeback, and it's a typical older brother, younger brother thing.
I can't think of the name of the movie. That's the crazy thing. Gosh, and I just watched it not too long ago. The Fighter. That's what it is. It's called The Fighter.
Oh goodness,
it is, and then it's a
Mickey Ward movie.
It's a great movie.
That's a great movie. But like I said, Mark Wahlberg is excellent. He's excellent.
Any parting thoughts? I wanted to bring that up there because we could talk, I think, movies and shows about sports just as long as we talk about sports. But any parting thoughts?
No, I'm good now.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yep.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to Blue Collar Sports Talk. For James, Roger.
See ya.
I'm Darrell. Go watch some sports.
See you later, guys.